Hello, this is the third video that I've made about objectives because we had one for Unit 1 looking at what objectives small firms would have. We've had one for Unit 2 looking at objectives of growing firms or larger firms, and now we've got this one again for Unit 2, but it's looking at social aims and objectives that firms might have, because in the last, I'd say, 10 to 20 years, firms have got much more conscious of the effect that they're having on the communities around them as well, and there's been more interest from consumers about their effect as well, so that's why it's an important topic. So a few key terms though to learn: ethical objectives. So these are business aims that focus on doing the right thing, even if it costs more or makes less revenue. So ethical is something that's ethical is considered the right thing to do, but it's not necessarily legally what you have to do. So that's why it's an ethical issue. So the business, the person has a choice over whether they do it or not. And it often comes down to the culture and their values, what they believe is the right thing. So in one culture, you tend to have different views of what the right thing or the wrong thing is. So it does depend on what country you're from, what culture or religion. But here is something very current. This is Lidl, the supermarket. And they were the first supermarket here, you can see from their billboard advertisement, to pay the living wage. They were the first supermarket to pay the living wage. And you can see some explanation about that there. We want to thank our employees who continue to make everything possible, so they really value their employees. But you can see here that they're not quiet about it. They have put it on a big billboard to advertise to people, and we'll look at the reasons why firms do engage in doing ethical things later on. Environmental objectives are business aims that focus on protecting the environment and reducing social costs. I'll give you a definition of what social costs mean in a second. But here we have a picture of lots of paper cups. And the reason I've got this picture is Starbucks are now offering a discount to anybody who brings their own cup with them. And the hope of this is to make sure that, or to try and reduce the need for these paper cups that are disposable and cause waste, unnecessary waste, because you could bring a reusable cup and have that for your morning coffee or whatever drink you're having. Social costs, this is a bit of an economics term actually, we learn about this in economics. This is the full cost of a business activity, so it includes the cost to the business, but also any external costs that the business has on the environment or the society, the community around them, such as pollution or congestion. So this is a story about Coca-Cola actually. They had a factory in India, and it's recently shut down actually, but they used a lot of water from the local environment, and this really harmed the farming businesses all around them. And so we can see here people protesting this Coca-Cola factory. Now we could say that was a negative social negative social impact that factory had on the community and the environment around them. Now, I don't want to get in trouble with Coca-Cola, so I've actually put in a social benefit as well as Coca-Cola have had. Maybe they'll take legal action against me for speaking ill of them. But social benefits are the full benefits of business activity, not just the profits. So not just the benefits that occur to the business, so revenue, profit, but benefits to the surrounding community. So maybe creating new jobs, or this was a nice one from Coca-Cola that I found, that they've got local artists to paint or redo some of these advertising billboards, these old ones that were just painted on kind of brick walls, I assume, when they first came out, maybe in the 1920s or 1930s, and they've got them to kind of do them up and redo them. And that's a social benefit because it has an external benefit on the community around them, because it makes the area look a lot nicer, more pleasant, and it might cheer people up as well. I think walking past that, I think, oh, what a lovely example of 1920s advertisement. something like that. But I am a business studies teacher, so maybe I'm more into those types of things. So this is the big focus of the section. So once you know what ethical, environmental aims and social costs and social benefits are, we need to think about why have businesses started to focus on ethics. So there are stricter laws these days about what you can and can't do, especially in terms of pollution and emissions and treating people. So specifically the workers' rights as well, but also consumers. We need to have products that are not going to be harmful or hurt us as well. This is the slightly cynical look at why businesses have a focus on ethics these days. So it can provide really positive publicity. So people think, wow, what a lovely business. They're really caring about the environment. They might be more willing to buy the product, might be more willing to pay higher prices for it. That increases profit margins, so on, so on. And there's also a greater consumer pressure. So I've got some nice examples here. So this was a campaign that started up a few years ago, and it's called Let Toys Be Toys, and they've got a great website, so I definitely recommend you having a look at that. But it's all about this kind of thing here. So here we have a toy shop, and we have a section called Boys Toys, and we have a section called Girls Toys. And this campaign is all about saying, why do toys have to be kind of gender specific? Boys might want to play with these toys, girls might want to play with these toys. It doesn't matter what gender you are, they're just toys. Don't label them kind of certain ways for certain genders. You know, children should be able to choose their own toys and not be kind of directed to what's typically a girl's toy and typically a boy's toy. So they've got lots of examples of these campaigns on their website, and they talk and they give lots and lots of great pictures of how they've got supermarkets and toy shops to change their labeling as well. This is another campaign as well that started off a few years ago. It's called Toy Like Me, and it was to try and increase the number of toys that represent people with disabilities. So here we've got somebody in a wheelchair, we've got somebody here with a guide dog, so various disabilities. And the idea was behind this was that there aren't enough sort of role models or representations of disabilities with children's toys. And that can be very difficult for children growing up with disabilities to recognise and have kind of role models that look like themselves, but also for people without disabilities, you know, they need to learn that there are people that are different from themselves. So I think these were two particularly good campaigns, and they actually campaigned, I think it was with Playmobil, I think that's how you pronounce the name of the company, and they were successful in their campaign, and they've got Playmobil to actually try and design some toys that are more reflective of the range of people and people with disabilities as well out there. So that was really positive. Okay. So when we're thinking about ethical, environmental objectives and changing business patterns, we need to think about the short-term and the long-term effects on these businesses. So here are some examples of some ethical objectives here. These are actual examples of some businesses that have changed their business practices. So we've got Innocent Smoothies giving 10% of their profit to charities. We've got Starbucks now reported in the newspapers. When I actually looked up on their website, it said 25p discount. I suppose if your coffee is £2.50, it is a 10% discount. But some newspapers reported it as 50p discount, but actually I had to check their website and they said 25p discount, but it's still a discount. And they do give away the free, it's the ground coffee so that people can use it for composting if they want to. And the Early Learning Centre, this is on their website, they make sure that all of their supplies have good working conditions. So what you might have to do in a question is look at how this can reduce short-term profit, but in the long term can actually increase profit. So 10% of the profit that Innocent Smoothies make goes to charity. Well, this, you know, very clearly reduces profit by 10%, but it might create better brand image, increase sales. Customers might be willing to pay more for the product, so we're increasing the profit margin on each product. Starbucks offering a 10% discount or 25p or 50p, whatever has been reported, to people that bring their own cups. Well, it does reduce revenue, doesn't it? Because you're taking a certain amount off that price. But it could appeal to more environmentally friendly customers. I think I've missed out the word friendly there. Environmentally customers. I meant friendly there. And increase sales numbers. The Early Learning Centre, making sure that their suppliers have good working conditions. This is going to increase costs. They might be having to pay them higher wages than they would do if they were less concerned about their working conditions. But in the long run, and this is more from the kind of internal running of the business, workers may be more motivated because they feel like they're being treated better. So this links into the section on human resources and motivation of people, and this can increase productivity. It could reduce the amount of people that leave the business. So it's reducing the kind of the recruitment and training costs as well. So there's always, with these types of questions, there's always two sides to the story, and this is what really, really good students will be able to see. They'll be able to see that actually there will be a negative effect on the business, maybe in the short run, but these are businesses. There's a reason they're doing it, and they're looking towards these long-term benefits that they might gain from their actions. So that's the last section that you do for the GCSE on objectives.